We're rolling into week 3. It's time to set those lineups. And today we're going to go game by game, matchup by matchup, looking at every single game and identifying the must-start player from each game. On top of that, by proxy, we're going to be talking about every single fantasy relevant player to help you set your lineups. What you need to do right now, though, is drop your start-sit questions in the comment section below. Answer some people's questions to get you some of that good juju coming your way, because we're here to help each other out. We're a big family in this channel. And on top of that, Saturday night, tonight, when we're watching some Pac-12 After Dark, I'm going to be answering all your questions in the comment section one by one. And we've been steady doing this for the last few years, and we'll do it next year. We'll do it next year after that, next week after that, and continuously. So you need to click that subscribe button right now. So when you have those questions, you come to this video on Saturday, you drop it. I'll always be here to help you out with multiple videos every single day. Click that button. Stop missing out. First matchup today, we're looking at Packers-Browns. And I think this one could be an ugly game. Browns defense, Packers defense. You're looking at two nasty defenses. Vegas dropped this to 41.5. We were at like 43-ish earlier in the week. I called that out as being a little too high due to these two defenses. Tucker Kraft has the Q. We talked about Luke Musgrave in a You Need video, and we talked about all the situations that could impact that. Tucker Kraft playing hurt, Tucker Kraft playing not so hurt, Luke Musgrave if he got the start. And honestly, I don't like this matchup for either of them. I don't like this matchup at all. I think this Browns defense is severely underrated right now. They hit on 2 draft picks. They hit on that first rounder, that second rounder, that D-line, that linebacker. I think this is going to be a nasty defense for years to come. The question here is Joe Flacco, and are we going to throw a lot of interceptions today? Because if that happens, Dylan Gabriel's going to come in, and that's not going to look so good. If Joe Flacco can command the ship and make a couple plays, Quinshon Judkins can get you a little bit. Like, I do not expect him to go off, but I expect him to be all right when you go back to the tape and you're like, okay, I like Quinshon Judkins going forward. That was a rough defense. I think this is a moral victory. Fantasy points-wise, low end 8. I can see him getting up to around 12 in this matchup due to volume. It's really more on Flacco than Judkins right now because Flacco's got to keep the chains moving. That is a huge risk. It's a huge risk to all these Browns players. Jeudy has not been separating well. He's not been getting it done. This is not a great matchup for him. Same for Tillman, but he gets random targets downfield that could buoy his production. They may have to get creative in this matchup due to it being the Packers defense. We saw tight ends strike against the Packers defense, so Harold Fannin, David Njoku, considering they're splitting the reps, this could be a decent matchup for them. Jordan Love's got a rough matchup here. We saw them rough up the Bengals a bit, the Browns defense, and then we also had a weird game against the Ravens because Flacco sucked it up, but they held Derrick Henry in check. Josh Jacobs is a guy you're looking at in this matchup. I got him pictured. But honestly, there's no true must start in this matchup. It's a huge-ass wild card, and it could be a nasty one in different levels where the defenses just road dog each other. And then Joe Flacco, if he gets road dogged, then the Packers could be up in the scoring, but still very little fantasy production. You're looking at the wide receivers. Romeo Doubs is probably going to run the most routes. Matthew Golden has been separating downfield. He was missed on 2 deep targets. He could be a random hitter this week. I think this is a matchup where you're looking at these wide receivers as random throw-ins. So if you ask for start-sit questions with them, really they're in random throw-in territory where you just throw them in and close the eyes because Jordan Love does not care who you are. He'll just throw it to you if you're open. He's not going to hyper-target anybody in this offense. Any wide receiver, as we know, can get it on any given Sunday. The carousel effect was created due to the Packers. And this is a matchup that could be very nasty. Vegas is starting to get onto it with that 41.5 over-under. We're watching Tucker Kraft. You're going to have to see how you feel about that once that news comes out. He's questionable. I keep hearing things on both sides. Sounds like he's good, though. Sounds like he's good, but I do not know if it's good like he's strapping up. and he's going to be looking like Jason Witten, or he's going to be back to being Tucker Kraft. Jets versus Bucs. We saw Puka out practicing, warming up. We covered the video on that. He's questionable. There's a chance he's good to go. We're watching that. Mike Evans in this matchup against the Jets. I look for him to get the targets downfield. Of course he's safe. Of course he's a starter in fantasy football. I think Baker Mayfield, even with a 43.5 over-under and a lower projected point total for this game script, I think every single matchup, considering how this team is built, he's relatively safe to get you to baseline 10, 11, 12. And then if it breaks, you could be getting Golden Baker. Bucky Irving, you're starting him because he's Bucky Irving. He's going to at least get volume. And I just see him, like, even in bad matchups, being all right. Rachaad White is a gamble flex throw-in this week. Cade Otton needs to catch a touchdown. That could potentially happen if Buka's out. Tyrod Taylor is up there. Garrett Wilson is going to get a bulk of the targets. I do not 100% trust him. But this game script could break enough where we get enough back and forth where it could push it. I like Breece Hall in this matchup. I think he's going to get the work. I think he's going to get the touches that are going to use him. I think we should at least get the baseline around 10 PPR fantasy points. Like always, I'll say this every single video. We're watching Mason Taylor, how he moves on the field, because I think there's a lot of talent there. I think over the long term, you're going to be interested in him. Rams at the Eagles. We got a 44.5 over-under. Vegas is right down the middle here. Maybe a little bit less, saying, hey, this could be slower due to these defenses. Rams have been in some slobber knockers with the Titans in Houston. That being said, you're looking at the Eagles. We know about that defense. I think Puka, Nacua, and Davante Adams is going to push this game script. I think we're going to get some good back and forth, some good movement. I'm not going to say if it's going to hit the over-under in this matchup. I still think this game could be rather gritty, but I think we're going to catch some good movement in this game where there's going to be good potential all the way around. I think either A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith's going to hit. It's really going to be due to game script and what's going on per play. But A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, one of them are going to have good opportunity. And really, you're just looking at the pushback with Puka, Nacua, and Davante Adams, pushing Jalen Hurts and company. Saquon Barkley, nobody's benching him. Kyren Williams, this is a rough matchup. I had him down in my rankings. I was below Fantasy Pros. He has not been efficient. The volume's reducing just enough to make him a liability, but he's still startable as a low-end RB2 flex play, and he's getting running back touches, so I would put that in flex over wide receivers in his area if you're thinking about that. You're looking at the tight ends. There's a chance that this team has to be getting creative. You're looking at Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, so that's red zone looks. Tyler Higbee, someone you're paying attention to, but Puka, Nacua, and Davante Adams are getting so many targets. It's hard to go to anybody else in the passing game. I think you're going to get good pushback, and I think you're going to get good movement in this game to where Matthew Stafford and Jalen Hurts should be all right for you. Falcons at Panthers, 43.5 over-under. I think this game's a huge wild card. I think there's potential we hit the over here. Panthers are leaking fantasy points in production. However, there's also a chance Bryce Young shits the bed, and this looks awful, and the Falcons get up, the game script slows down, and that's where you get to that 43.5 over-under, and that's why Vegas is there. But there's also a chance they allow a lot of points, but are able to keep up in this game. Also, there's some DBs out for the Falcons. I look for T-Mac to have a huge game this week. I look for T-Mac to be solid. Start him with confidence, and I rarely say that about players. Bijan, you're going to start him. He's a stud. There's no way in hell you're sitting him against the Panthers. Drake London, Darnell Mooney, those are wide receivers that you're looking at heavy. Drake London's an auto start. Darnell Mooney is a good flex for this matchup, but the game script could push it to where there's less volume. Kyle Pitts, solid in this matchup. Tight end volatility still, where it could be up and down. I look for Michael Penix to have a good bounce-back game. Chuba Hubbard's been getting good work in the passing game, allowing him to catch balls in garbage time and allowing him to be fantasy relevant still. Hunter Renfrow could be a dart throw for you. I think JT Sanders is a guy that you might be looking at off the waiver wire as we get further into the season. So if you're hurting at tight end, you got a roster spot, you're looking for a tight end for the future, this is a guy to look at. Colts at Titans, 43.5 over under. It's all on Cam Ward, really. Like, if Cam Ward can connect, you got Elic Ayomanor, who's stepping up. You got Calvin Ridley, who is the veteran wide receiver there, who's getting volume. If he can connect, not turn over the football, protect it, give the Colts some good pushback in this game, we could be getting some movement. There's a chance where if the opposite happens, we're not, the Colts will be up. I feel good about Jonathan Taylor. I think this game could be scrappy. I think that could impact him. I think he should at least get you to baseline and be all right. I think we got a good carousel effect here for the Colts where any wide receiver can get it on any given Sunday. The safer plays here out of that wide receiver depth chart are Pittman and Downs. But Alec Pierce gets the deep balls, so he has upside on any given Sunday. And A.D. Mitchell, I believe he's going to merge eventually. Tyler Warren has the cue, but looks like he's all right in practice. I saw the practice clips. He's out there. I think he's going to be out there. I think he's going to be fine. Don't kill me if I'm wrong, but I saw the practice clips. He looks good to go to me, but that's an uneducated opinion. Tony Pollard should at least get you around 9 to 10 fantasy points. Take that how you will, because that's not enough to get it done. But you also need the Titans, Cam Ward, to start pushing it downfield so he gets more opportunity. Chigakonkwu has been running a lot of routes. He's a good dandy off the waiver wire. If you need a waiver wire tight end, the other waiver wire tight ends that have been trendy over the last few weeks should be picked up. But he's running a lot of routes. He's getting targets. He's getting good movement. I just don't trust him week to week. Raiders at Commanders. And this is going to be a funny matchup. Marcus Mariota in at quarterback. So look at him if you need a quarterback for this week, if you're hurting that bad. Jacory Croskey-Merritt, we're watching his touches, his workload. This could be an interesting matchup for him. He could be big-time fantasy relevant. Let people know if you're starting him below. I look at him as a flex play, getting those running back touches. Also, watch McNichols and Rodriguez and how much impact they get. This could be a three-headed monster because Rodriguez is good up the gut. Terry McLaurin, I do not know how he gels with Marcus Mariota. I think Debo is going to rack up some volume in the short to intermediate. It could be like a 20% decrease with his impact, but he should be all right for at least flex, if not a good wide receiver 2 this week. It's all on Marcus Mariota, though. I don't know. It's a wild card. It's a wild card. We got a 43.5 over under. Vegas is loving that number for the totals. That's like their line in the sand here. Zach Ertz. With Daniels, I feel good about him getting 5 targets a game. I do not know about Marcus Mariota, movement of the game, but he's a throw-in tight end. He's a gamble tight end this week. Ashton Jeanty should be getting more work. He should be getting more opportunities. He should at least be getting enough work to get you to baseline around 10 PPR fantasy points. There's a chance if he crosses the goal line, which there's a good chance for that with this matchup, and if Marcus Mariota is bad this week, that we get in those opportunities. Jacoby Myers, last 2 weeks, 10 targets and 12 targets. He's the safe play. Brock Bowers, further removed from the injury, so he's Brock Bowers. You're starting him nonetheless. If you started him last week, why aren't you starting him now? Geno Smith, this is a good bounce-back game after not scoring well last week. Also, with Marcus Mariota being in there, this could be a slower game script than anticipated, so we may not catch good movement. We need something to break in this game. Bengals at Vikings. Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz. This game is a huge wild card. Vegas is saying it too with a 41.5 over under. A tight spread here. Jamar Chase, I believe he's going to get a bulk of the targets. I think Browning's just going to lock into them. And T. Higgins has potential, but he's also very risky. Very risky. And it's risky in 2 ways, because if you bench him, he could hit big. And if you start him, he can miss big. He's just a big, risky player right now. Chase Brown has not been hitting the snuff the last couple weeks. With Jake Browning there, if he's turning over the football, he messes up the game script and the flow. It could be just as bad. Vikings have been good to running backs last year and this year when it comes to allowing fantasy points. So it's going to be a rough game script here. I look for the game script to be slowed down with Carson Wentz a little bit, but I would not be surprised if he's very effective. Word on the street, Jordan Mason is getting a lot of work. Should be a solid RB2 this week. High-end flex. He's a start for me. He's a start. I would see this out. I think Carson Wentz is going to use him a lot. I think they have to. I think Justin Jefferson will get funneled some targets. I think the ball will be moved around. I would not be looking at the ancillary targets getting cute. I'm cool with Justin Jefferson. I'm not scared. You look at the rankings. I had him about at baseline compared to the consensus. TJ Hawkinson, he may get more or less work. And I know that's not the analysis you want. It's analysis you need. It's the truth. Like, we got to see where Wentz goes with the football. He has been able to prop up tight ends before, but really different system, different look. This team wants to run fast. They want to run fast. He could kill it in this game. He could be good. He could be good back there. Like, my gut is telling me Carson Wentz is going to be solid. Like, if you're looking for an extra quarterback, you're in a 2 QB league, or you're in a league where you got extra space for some reason, it's deeper benches, maybe you pick him up for another week or so. Maybe you look at that. I feel like we got enough weapons here. We got good spacing in games and pacing in games that Wentz is going to be fine going into this matchup. Steelers at Patriots. 44.5 over under. And this is another rough matchup here to call. And it is. This is a rough week. With the injuries we're seeing at quarterback, I think Drake May is going to rely heavy on these running backs. We're seeing running backs get used against Steelers. I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to be a trendy flex. I think Hendo might have his bounce-back game. I think this might be a Hendo bounce-back game. I think one of those plays were supposed to go to Hendo last week. That was a big splash play for Stevenson. I think Hendo might have his bounce-back game this week. I look at him as a gamble flex RB2, like a big gamble. Stephon Diggs, Quinshon Judkins, we're getting the carousel effect kind of here. Judkins should lead him in deep targets and routes run. I like Judkins. If you're looking to gamble at wide receiver, I think Stephon Diggs will get some of the short to intermediate targets. Drake May should be fine to baseline around 10, 11, 12 fantasy points. If the game script breaks, then we should see a game script that allows him to hit that 15 to 20 plus. Aaron Rodgers has been okay in fantasy, actually. He's just been okay. He's been all right. And the running backs here for the Steelers, you need Jaylen Warren across the goal line or he ain't going to get you anything. That's just part of it. Kenneth Gainwell could get more work than advertised. Same with Caleb Johnson. It's the Arthur Smith effect, and that's just how it is. We saw that with Bijan Robinson in Atlanta, that random headache game where he wasn't getting touches, and random games where we're like, where is he at? I think DK Metcalf is your safest play on this game. He's going to be racking up targets. They manufacture him targets. I think Calvin Austin, if you're looking for a gamble play, mainly for DFS or in the flex, maybe, but we got to hit big on that deep play. He's getting deep targets downfield. He might get that work. He may get that opportunity. Jonnu Smith, we just got to bring in that touchdown. Another gamble tight end if you didn't draft a stud this year. Texans at Jaguars. This is going to be a very tricky matchup too. 43.5 over under. You see this with Vegas on DraftKings? 43.5 over unders, just straight up down the line. And I keep saying, hey, this is tricky with it. Vegas is saying that too. So it's not like me being wishy-washy. It's part of the process here where I can see things break both ways. And I catching those words come out of my mouth and I don't like it. But I'm being real and honest with you when I give you this analysis. I still like Travis Etienne this week though. Bucky Irving did well against the Texans. I think it could be a rough matchup, though, in terms of movements. I think things could be broken up a bit. Also depends on which versions of Trevor Lawrence and CJ Stroud you get. That's also another reason why we got a 43.5 over under. Like, both these guys are different guys on different weeks. That's just how it is. Nick Chubb is looking all right. If you drafted in a way you went here RB, picked up a guy like Nick Chubb late, then you're probably starting him. More than likely, most teams have other running backs. I expect him to get touches. I expect him to get opportunities. I expect him to be in a position where he has a good potential to get you baseline, 10, 11, 12. That's baseline to me. We got to cross the goal line and maybe catch a couple extra balls to get to that 15 to 20 plus range. I think we could get some pushback for that. I think this could be a gritty game script, though, where things get a little nasty. I think we're looking at Brian Thomas Jr. I think we're going to have a great matchup here for him. I think we're going to be good on targets. I'm not worried about him. Travis Hunter, I look at him as a gamble flex. I need to see more out of him. I need to see him separate more. I need those separation numbers to get better. I need that to get better for him, for me to feel confident with him. Basil Tootin, we're watching touches and workload. He can get it on any given touch. So if you're looking for a play that you put in, close your eyes, and pray to the fantasy gods, this could be one of them. He could score in this matchup. And we're looking at Christian Kirk. I do not see the Q or the O. I could definitely see extra targets rolling his way, and that could definitely help out CJ Stroud. I look at Trevor Lawrence and CJ Stroud being wild cards in this matchup. So the play could be up and down. This game script could break if they play well, or they could be Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You get the bad versions, and it could be ugly. When you're looking at the tight ends here, I don't like Dalton Schultz. Maybe he gets one of his touchdowns for the year here, and you can cash in on that. Brenton Strange has been running routes, getting opportunity. You're kind of watching him from afar, but on top of that, Brenton Strange is a tight end that you could use as a fill-in due to how much work he's getting. Saints at Seahawks, 41.5 over under. I look for Jackson Smith-Njigba to continue leading this team in targets. This is a good matchup for that. I think we could get some good back and forth here where it's all on Spencer Rattler. If Spencer Rattler just keeps heaving it still, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, those are wide receivers to pay attention to. Olave is more of a starter as a wide receiver 2-3 for you. Rashid Shaheed's a good gamble play. Alvin Kamara, I look for him to be getting targets out of the backfield, getting some work. He did that last week, not so much in week 2, but he crossed the goal line there. But I look for him to get some okay work. Juwan Johnson, dude's getting targets. Unless you're blessed at tight end, you're using him because Spencer Rattler does not care. We also have a good spread here where you can definitely see Seattle getting up and the Saints just having to sling it. This game might hit the over here. Like, it's going to be hard to have a point total 35, 36, 37. They might hit the over here. Spencer Rattler can push it to those gamblers out there. Zach Charbonnet is doubtful, which means he's more likely out. Watch for George Holani as a random throw-in. So if you're playing DFS, Daily Fantasy Football, guarantee you he's free. So you can get a free play out of that to stuff in higher-priced players. Kenneth Walker should be getting all the work. This should be the Kenneth Walker experience this week. I expect him to blow up this week. And Cooper Kupp got more targets. I expect him to get good volume. Flex play-ish. Torrey Horton's a gamble throw-in. Deep balls downfield. And if Spencer Rattler can push this game script, you might get more out of him. A.J. Barner, you're looking for a random touchdown out of him, though. Broncos at Chargers. We got a 45.5 over-under. There's a chance that we hit the over big time. And there's a chance we hit the under big time. The Chargers have been killing running backs. J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey are in a rough game script. And then you're looking at Marion Hampton and Najee Harris. They're both in rough game scripts. You're only looking at a Marion Hampton right now if you have no other opportunities at running back that's getting more than 10 touches, 10 opportunities in games, in softer matchups. This is a rough matchup. Marion Hampton's a gamble throw-in. But the Chargers have the firepower to move against tough defenses. We saw that against the Broncos. McConkey, Quentin Johnson, Keenan Allen. It's all on Herbert and those three wide receivers. The volume of this game will be funneled to those three. And if they cash, you might catch something out of Hampton. He may cross the goal line. He is a goal line gamble. He's a touchdown gamble. Him and Harris both. They're touchdown gambles. They cross the goal line. Either one of them. It'll be enough to at least get you by this week. That could shock you. But I look for one of these three wide receivers to hit. The second one to hit, not so much. I have Keenan Allen in there. Right now, he's been the safest play when it comes to targets. Ladd McConkey was dealing with a bicep issue this week. He was limited in practice. We got Disley out. So the short to intermediate to McConkey and Keenan might get lit up a bit. That's also helping Quentin Johnson get downfield. This is the carousel effect. Any one of these wide receivers can get it on any given Sunday. Quentin Johnson has hit big the first 2 games of the season. He scored touchdowns in every game. This is a rough one, but if something breaks loose downfield, it could be his matchup. You're looking at the wide receivers here for the Broncos. Evan Ingram's out. The short to intermediate should be great for Troy Franklin, but this is weird analysis. I'm seeing a lot of people call him out, so usually when I see that, it typically runs bad. That's on you, but I look for him to get the short to intermediate targets where Evan Ingram would get that flow. Cortland Sutton getting the deep ball. Considering there should be limited opportunities in this matchup here with this game script, unless it busts wide open, we're really watching the flow of those Chargers wide receivers. One of those wide receivers should get you something. It could be a Sutton game here as you're pushing it downfield. There's a good chance for that. I look for Troy Franklin to run 25 to 30 routes in this game. I look for him to be around 6 to 7 targets, whatever happens there. Cortland Sutton will get 2 to 3 deep shots in this game. We bring in one, we're going to cash. If we get overshot, pass interference calls on those plays, it ain't going to work out. Now, that's not the analysis you want. You want me to say, hey, this guy's wide receiver 1. This guy's going to suck. Don't stop. You want that. But you really need the truth and analysis. You need that to bubble up in your gut. You need to listen to your gut Sunday morning. And that's what's going to help you the most. Bo Nix, this is going to be a rough matchup. I think he's good enough to get you the baseline due to the rushing production, due to good potential of this game, having good movement in it, good back and forth. Justin Herbert, he's been safe. He's been safe. I think at minimum baseline, like I do not see a bust out of him. Bo Nix could. He could, but I think he's safer to baseline. But Justin Herbert is always safe. You're never going to bench him. Cowboys at Bears. 50.5 over under. DeAndre Swift has the Q. My gut says he's going to be out there, but I don't know. Kind of money guy. Might be getting some opportunities. Roschon Johnson's back. 50.5 over under. My process is when I'm wondering about players, I lean in the game scripts like this. You got a tight spread, 50.5 over under. Caleb Williams is at home, so he should feel at home. He better feel at home. And we got Dak Prescott pushing it downfield. I think this is a good George Pickens game. If you're not going to start George Pickens here and he scores a lot of points on your bench, you better sell him. Because when else are you going to play him? When else are you going to play him? When else are you going to play him? Package him with your running back and upgrade somewhere. Like, when else are you going to do it? When else? Like, if you're benching him this week, and maybe because you're blessed at wide receiver, but if you can't play him this week, you might as well upgrade somewhere. Like, this is a great matchup. And like I say, my George Pickens analysis, you're either going to get 25 or 5. Either he's going to cash in big, or you're going to get 0. He's a gamble player. CeeDee Lamb, the targets, 13 and 11. Nobody's benching him. Javonte Williams should be more of a must-start in rankings. I'm ahead of Fantasy Pros in my rankings. I am definitely starting him this week. I think we're looking good. Jake Ferguson, 50.5 over-under. I'm leaning on him. I'm starting him. I'm looking at DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. I like them better this week. I think Rome Odunze could cash again. I think DJ Moore has a little bit more upside. I'm actually straying away from the Bears tight ends unless I got a gamble on one, and it's Cole Kmet really due to the volume. We could see a Colston Loveland breakout. That's what I'm praying for. I am praying for that big time. I want a Colston Loveland breakout more than anything. This is an over-under that could lend to that. This is a defense that could lend to that. If you're looking for a gamble, dart throw on the cheap, that could be it. I'm looking for a lot of points scored. I am starting almost every single player in this matchup. Cardinals, 49ers, 44.5 over-under. Brock Purdy might play this game. I did the video. Nobody really watched it. So that's kind of good information for you because he might play this game. He might play this game. I do not know what that means. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to be safe. He's Christian McCaffrey. He's going to be catching balls out of the backfield. I think he's going to be good for all wide receivers out there. I think Ricky Pearsall is going to lead this team in targets and opportunities. He's a good start this week. I think Kendrick Bourne will get some opportunities as well in this matchup. Some extra targets, MVS, deep balls downfield. And then I believe Marvin Harrison Jr., there's going to be good movement in this game. I think he's going to get those targets. I think there's a better chance of him hitting this week than being up ahead against the Carolina Panthers. James Conner should at least get you the baseline. We're watching Trey Benson and his touches and opportunities. He's one of the top handcuff running backs in the league right now. Trey McBride's getting work. He's a must-start every single week. Does not matter what the matchup is. Kyler Murray, you got him. You're wrestling with him every week. And this is a matchup that if it breaks and he can connect, this could have some good flow to it for him. Chiefs at Giants. Very interesting matchup. I talked about my rankings video on Wednesday when I'm looking at the running backs and wide receivers. If Isaiah Pacheco can't hit in this game, cut him. If Isaiah Pacheco does not hit in this game, cut him, because when else can you play him? When else can you play Isaiah Pacheco if he does not hit in this game? When are you going to start him next? You can't trade him away if he whiffs, because no one's going to trade for him. Unless it's Dynasty and you're just getting bidding dollars or late picks or something that somebody wants touches. If he can't hit in this game, watch Brashard Smith, watch the routes ran, watch the snaps, as we always are. He needs a unique video, and I might do that next week to give you an update on his workload. Patrick Mahomes, safe. He's always giving you safe QB2 production. This is a defense where we can light it up here. Hollywood Brown, severely underranked by sites. If you're ever going to use him, it's now. So there's some good opportunity here. You're looking at all the ancillary wide receivers as gamble throw-ins right now. Xavier Worthy's got the Q. You're watching that from afar. I don't suggest it because they may not even need to push with him. Jalen Royals, you're watching that from afar. Juju Smith-Schuster, you don't want to. Tyquan Thornton is going to be getting deep targets downfield. He could be a splash play. Cam Scadaboo, rough matchup, 11 carries last week. I expect him to lead this team in workload out of the running back position. He might get some targets. He runs his face off. We're going to struggle to get the baseline. If we cross the goal line, we'll have some okay fantasy production. I don't want to gamble on him, but I at least would want him on my bench. Malik Neighbors, don't worry about it. He's at least going to get you volume. That volume should at least get you the baseline. He should at least, compared to that Washington game, get you around that area, around 12 points, somewhere around there. 9, 10, 11, 12. Should be somewhere around there. Wan'Dale Robinson getting good short volume. I think he's going to need to cross the goal line in this matchup for him to hit. Theo Johnson could get that random target. I haven't talked about Travis Kelce, but yeah, he's an auto start this week. Lions, Ravens. 53.5 over-under, guys. 53.5 over-under, guys. Start everybody. Start everybody. Like, honestly, 53.5 over-under. That's what that says. Vegas is saying, hey, these guys are going to score a lot of points. And they're trying to be right in the middle where you got to think about it. Now, there's a good chance to hit the under. But if you remember that Buffalo game, that over-under was 51.5. 51.5. That Browns game hit the over. That hit the over. Now you're looking at this. I don't care if it hits the over or under. I just want them to score and move the ball. I want good movement. We're getting good movement, guys. Unless something crazy happens, we're getting good movement. Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, of course. No one's benching Jahmyr Gibbs. David Montgomery with extra movement in a game. More opportunities for red zone looks. Ayomanor, auto start. J-Mo, I'm looking at him as wide receiver 2 range. I had him up in the rankings, actually. And then Sam Laporta. Volume, like there's a chance that one of these guys don't get it, but your odds are increased immensely in a matchup like this. Now you're thinking, hey, it's rough running the ball against Detroit Lions, but you're going to catch pushback in this game. Ball's going to go back and forth. Derrick Henry, auto start. Rough game against Cleveland. I had him ranked high, but I told you that Cleveland matchup's rough. And I told you that for the Packers game. I'm telling you, Cleveland was rough. Everybody's under on that Cleveland defense. Zay Flowers, this is a game where he should hit. This is a game where he should go off. I also have Zay Flowers as the handcuff to Derrick Henry as the player you want if he goes down. Just more volume downfield. Rashad Bateman, gamble, throw in deep targets. They're saying they're going to get more work for DeAndre Hopkins. Mark Andrews, some games he's silent. Some games he's out there. He's a volume guy that's random. He was like that last year. Isaiah Likely's got the Q. We're monitoring that. Start everybody. Start everybody in this matchup. Part of the process. You got to have a process. If the analysis doesn't really have process to it and you can't gather somebody's process when they're trying to help you, then they're just throwing shit against the wind. They're going to be right. I mean, the best gamblers in Vegas are right 50 to 60% of the time. They're going to be right sometimes when you're narrowing things down to the basics, but there's also got to be a process. My process is when it's a game script like this, I am going heavy to it, and I'm leaning with all the matchups that I'm tied on. Those are the matchups here for Week 3. Let me know who you're starting in the comments below. Don't forget to drop your start, sit questions. I want to hear about that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.